terms of DEI. So that's something to look forward to. That's something the whole college is shifting towards to. So it's really great to see that the board is also heading in that direction. I don't have any committee updates, so that's all.
As for myself, I also attended the executive committee meeting. Thanks, David, for joining me. I think your help was very important there. And also, I'd like to thank Alex Buckelheim for helping us out and distributing that resolution draft with admin so they can get better feedback. Through that, Dr. Ramirez has reached out, provided me a list of late start classes. I think we still have to meet up and be able to communicate the importance of in-person classes. Also, sent out the name list or name badges to Mr. Alex Buckelheim. Dr. Jones did agree to get us some of those badges, so expect those. I'm not sure when, but in the near future, I hope. Also, I would like to mention that I had 3 interviews this past Friday for Secretary, Academic Affairs, and Chief Justice, and we'll be following up on those throughout this meeting. Also, attended accreditation, and I was able to connect with Dr. Alvarado. She is someone who I believe is more than interested in supporting our causes. Also, want to remind you all that I've been in communication with Bobby from the foundation, and as of October 14th, for those who have been part of the board, we'll be receiving back pay and I guess your pay for this month. So that's, I think, very important. And that's it for my report. So thank you all. Moving on to financial report.
I do have a financial report. So I wanted to give you guys an update on how much we have in each area of the ASPCC budget. So we have, we still have 20,000 left in incentives. We have $4,148.51 left in office equipment and supplies. We still have 2,500 left in postage, and then we have $5,199.49 in professional and leadership development. As for programming, we have $27,632.43 left. So if you guys are planning any events, keep that in mind. And then for publicity, we have 10,000. And then staff and personnel, we have $17,836.12 left. Subscriptions, we have $1,821.16 left. And in total, we have $89,137.71 left.
If you could please share that with us whenever you get a chance.
Yeah, will do.
Thank you. Moving on to advisory reports.
Okay, so a couple things coming up. Thank you very much for the financial report. We finally got QuickBooks, so I think Brianna can finally have a report. In the future, just so you know, what's common practice is you can just do an Excel spreadsheet or just something condensed. And then what we do is just send that out to everyone, and then that record is entered into the minutes. So when you send that report to the minutes, it's Emmanuel, so I can get it. Okay. So a couple things, we had a really good weekend when this weekend we funded ICC in record time. I think we were lucky that we didn't have that like 2 weekends. It wasn't 2 days, it wasn't 3 days. We didn't have that many people, and I think we didn't have that many requests. So I think we're lucky there, and we have some abundance of cash. So congratulations, Natalie, and we'll be putting that out for, it's not today, huh? Oh, we'll be putting it out soon.
For approval?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a discussion item.
Okay, that's okay. We'll get to it. Yeah. So we are in the middle of a hiring rush. There are more positions available than we have students to represent. DCOG fights very hard for you to have representation at these meetings. So we need to go. You have a responsibility to represent the student voice at these meetings. So I'm going to say this the last time. October 15th. Did you all get my email? Do I see you all nodding? You all got it? Did anyone not get it?
Can you send that to me, please?
I didn't send it to you because you've already been trained.
I can send it to other people.
Okay. So just make sure October 15th, once I get the deadline, so you need to open your calendars now and block off the entire day. I'm not lying, because if you choose not to get trained, then I will go find other voices who are not elected. So do you all understand what that looks like? That you are choosing not to represent your students. Y'all had 2 bites at this apple. This is your last chance. I have other students who are willing to do this. So I cannot emphasize enough. So if you have issues, you better clear those issues up. Are there any questions about what I mean and my intent with what I'm saying? Okay, thank you. Board docs training, that's the other thing you all need to go through. I signed you all up. You all got a very nice email from Jennifer Alvarez. You do need to go to that because all of you will need to start posting starting November. All of your agendas will have to go on board docs, and they've been kind enough to make space for us. In the past, they've only made 1 space, and that was for associate students. Now they're willing to put all of you and have all of your agendas posted to the phone. So you also need to do that. I know that one of the meetings is during one of our AS meetings, and if that's the only one you can go to, please make sure that you talk to Emmanuel for an excused absence because you need to go to that training, okay? And to our new members and David, as soon as it's official, I will send you all that information. Also, I've been getting a lot of emails from folks about participation at campus-wide committees. So I don't know what the recommendation is. You all were appointed to committees, and I think we've been sending out, it's been a little rough because they send us the information about the meeting kind of last minute, but we need you to go. So I said it last meeting, I wanted you to all review the schedule because you've been assigned, and that's a Google Doc that you all have access to. I would like you to review that. If you can't go to those meetings, you need to let someone know you need to find a replacement, okay? Because again, I'm starting to get emails from people asking, is there going to be a student presence? And again, because they want students, we really should embrace that, okay? So if anything can be taken away from my report today, is that there are people who want to work with you, who are looking to hear your voices, who are excited to have students. That's a great thing. I really want to embrace that. So please make sure that we're responding when we need to respond. Okay. Thank you all.
Okay.
I don't have much. I know everybody breathes a sigh of relief. So one of the things I do, I don't know if you looked at, but if you are online, you will find online a new, what's the year for? It's all, just because the scope of what she's working on is so broad. I don't know which thing it is. If you go online, we've been wondering, how do we know what to do when certain people come on campus? And that's weird. So it's, what do we do? Can we invite people to campus? What is the protocol? Well, so online there is now, so now online there under the updates, I believe, under COVID updates, I just looked at this in another meeting, sorry. It shows you what to do depending on which category an individual is in. So it tells you what the protocol is going to be if you're a student, what the protocol is if you're an employee. And what's relevant to you all is what's the protocol if folks are invited guests, groups, performers, speakers, etc., on vendors on campus. And so it's outlined there. And I will find that. It's actually online now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the PCC webpage. But it'll actually tell you. So I think, Natalie, it's going to be important for you to share that information with clubs and organizations, because one of the key things is if you're inviting someone onto campus, you are responsible for making sure they are in adherence with the college policies related to COVID protocols, okay? We are all responsible for that. And that's going to be a check, you know, the green check, they have to show us the green check. You're not to ask them, have you been vaccinated, etc. So if you do bring people on campus and they're not, what does that mean for you? They can't come. Okay, so if they're not vaccinated, if they don't have vaccination second. So then you pick, I am, and you identify who you are. And if you go vendor, there you go, let's try that. And so it'll tell you who the group is, what you have to do. And the thing is, as the inviting parties, we are the ones responsible for making sure that they are in compliance with campus protocol. And I know that a couple folks have just been recently uninvited for not meeting our campus protocol, sorry. It was me or the computer, Candace is here, so I Candace and Mary will tell them. They're not the bad guys. But yeah, so it'll tell you. So I would say familiarize yourself with that. And if you have questions, you know, you can certainly ask me about that. I know there are a lot of questions related to this. And as we start working with our protocol, there are going to be a lot more questions. And one of the big things is because you're going to be uncomfortable telling folks they can't come to campus because they don't meet our campus protocol. This is where you're going to have to put your leadership pants on and lead and say, I'm sorry, but this is our campus protocol for us to work with you, you have to adhere to this. And this includes folks coming on for meetings, etc. Okay, so I wanted to make you aware of that. And I want to echo Carrie's sentiment about showing up in shared governance spaces. So I come to the meetings, folks get appointed. The next time there's a meeting, I get an email saying there is no AS representative at a meeting. Or I'm in a meeting that I know there's been a student appointed to, and they go to that student and there's nobody there. That's not okay. And I don't think it's a bad thing for others to pull other students in to sit on these. I think it's a good thing. Expand your influence, expand your capacity as a governing body. So I don't think that's a bad thing. And I don't think it's a bad thing for the hiring committees either. We knew going into this, and we knew from past experience, 12 students with school schedules are not going to be able to sit on every committee. It's just not humanly possible. Okay, so don't feel bad. Folks will be appointed through this body. It's not like folks are going to be sent out from some mysterious place to sit in on your behalf. It will be appointed through this body as is required by the policy. But if you know folks who are interested in that kind of involvement, your committees, etc., please encourage them to serve on these bodies. 12 students cannot do all that you all are expected to do. Okay. Oh, we will be having student services meeting at 2 o'clock today. So folks will be there. We just need to inform. It's just the beginning of allocating the funds for student services. Thank you.
Okay, so is there any shared governance discussion? Yes, Marcus.
From Academic Senate, they're meeting remotely until January 31st, 2022. They have a low-income student rapid response committee training for Lancer Care Virtual Center and providing faculty in all divisions with resources so they can post on campus and in their offices. CTE is actually going to start getting representation within Academic Senate. They also discuss EEO training. Their budget is $23,050.76. Besides that, 2 things of interest for us was AP 4104. It's address contract education. So it's customized training for employees, whether it be soft, technical, or other type of skills. And they can be compensated through their employer or ETP funds. And these fees are gonna be based on onboarding the length. It's really a case by case thing and it's not open to the public. It's an MOU with the faculty and students cannot access this. Another one is AP 5055. It addresses disencumbered workers. So priority registration 3 will be given to disencumbered workers, which accounts for 2 million people in Los Angeles alone. And this is mostly for people who are trying to get back into the workforce. And they're going to be receiving registration because they are receiving federal funds for TEAA or iTrain, and it does expire at a certain time. So far, they asked a couple questions regarding this, and how many students took advantage of this type of program last year was only 4. Last year, 30 to 40 students from Citrus and SAC did this, but it's because they have a well-established program and they've been doing this for a long time. The way they're going to do this is going to be doing an advertisement of in-house awareness campaign for students who are currently not working or unemployed, and it would be a long-lasting partnership. And then they would be earmarked for a part-time CTE counselor, so they wouldn't have to go through general counseling or anything else like that. They passed VP 71, which is a commitment to diversity. This was introduced by, I believe, Dr. Carrie Bowen. So I could read the folder if you guys want, but basically says PCC is committed to DI and creating a diverse environment. And besides that, they did appoint a couple of people to a hiring committee, and that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Marcus. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. So moving on to action items. And we have action item A, resolution condemning the board approval of the memorandum of understanding MOU between Pasadena Area Community College District and the Pasadena City College Faculty Association, FAE, regarding the return to campus agreement for fall semester 2021. It is recommended that the executive board approves the title of the resolution. And for that, we have David.
Get it up there. Hello, hopefully you all have had ample time to get yourself familiar with this resolution. It's been around for about like 3 weeks now. And we have been gathering feedback from many groups, many students, many administrators now. And I think that this final document does adequately and accurately address the concerns that we believe that students have about the decisions that have happened at the beginning of the semester. And so I just want to throw it out for discussion now because mostly I've been presenting on this resolution and I'm the one that wrote it. So I do want to hear more from all y'all.
Yes, Marcus.
Thank you, David, for writing this. I think it just shows how great a writer you are and just doing this on behalf of us, even when you weren't student trustee. However, my problem that still remains with passing this is that we're essentially using very strong language such as condemning, and already as it is, our relationship with the FA might not be the best. So I don't know how we're continuing to push forward with this when there are not enough student stories. We have already had this discussion multiple times. AS was not able to gather student stories in time. And students already at this point have moved on. We're 6 weeks into the semester. We're almost at the halfway point. So my question, are students really going to continue to care about this? Or should we start looking to the future in regards to spring semester and start having these discussions with the FA about how comfortable are you having with more in-person or hybrid classes? Granted, we do not have a voice in union negotiations. However, I think we should move forward from this because the matter of the fact is we don't have student voices. We don't have enough stories. To say that 12 stories and 6 of them are perhaps strong enough to present to the Board of Trustees, like Dr. Parker told me when I met with her. These are all just anecdotal. I have heard students speak about this, but it's just their one story. There is not enough of this. If we did an environmental scan asking students about this, I would be more comfortable. However, again, it's going to take more time. And by that point, we're practically going to be done with this semester. I understand this sets precedent that this cannot happen again in the future, that we should have a voice, but I would rather instead focus on talking with the administration, talking with faculty about what can we do to help bring students back for the spring semester.
Well, a few things. I think what this resolution, the purpose really with this resolution is for going forward, right? We want to set the precedent that we're willing to respond to something that significantly impacts students. Because I did bring this resolution to you guys in the second week of school, and y'all did table it, and you did multiple times. And so there was an opportunity to respond early on in the semester, and so I just want to address that. But secondly, the college does have data on what students feel. They conducted a survey that yielded 5,000 responses from students. That's more than a quarter of our current enrollment. And the majority, or almost the majority, stated that they want to come back to campus. And so half of our students are displaced, right? Half of our students have had their educational aspirations displaced. And so that's really where this resolution is coming from. It's backed by data. We have the data. And so, yeah, I don't really know what other concerns there would be.
I also like to add, with the conversations haven't stopped. The survey was not enough. That survey to this day is still being distributed, especially within pathways. But based on conversations that we've had with students, like, it's ridiculous that someone should be 17 and awake this semester. And especially for a class within the night gets, especially for classes such as chemistry, primarily STEM classes. And that is something that can still be solved. You know, yes, we're, what is it, week 6, week 5? We aim to get 8-week classes. Mind you, there can also be 6-week courses, but obviously we're trying to support and uplift the students who aren't usually represented, who are usually marginalized and don't have the adequate resources for their academic success. So we have to also be mindful. The main goal is 8-week classes. You know, the reason why this was brought up September 1st was so that we can try to get 14-week classes, but it was tabled. We have been appointed by our constituents, by our peers, by our colleagues, to step up and make these decisions. You know, where are the students at? Obviously, we're on a different campus today. I don't know if that's an issue, but I think that it is important that we make this stance simply because there is no relationship with the FA. The reason why we weren't included is because there is no relationship, and we should have been there. Obviously, there's a lot of legal barriers, but if we are able to pass this, now we can put not just the pressure on the faculty, but I think the main issue that we all had was that our professors aren't being transparent, or they're uninformed. And that's probably why they're not being transparent. I think it's crucial that we do this. We don't have a resolution and it's impacting students. We're not necessarily putting ourselves in that, but we're vouching for other students. That's my take on that. And it's also open to discussion, of course, if the public would like to chime in. Yes, Terry.
So a couple things. It's difficult. You know, it's difficult to take a stand, especially when we start talking about people in our community. And I've always tried to encourage you to have a relationship experience with everyone on this campus. Because when we start seeing them as individuals, then we also understand that it's a lot harder to demonize all of them. And I understand that you want to preserve a relationship. And I think your challenge as leaders, and it's all leaders, is that how do we walk that fine line? Because ultimately, though, you still do represent students, and there are concerns, right? But I'm also very much aware of how AS can be used as a battering ram for other people's agendas. So I do want you to be aware of where you're getting your information, how it's coming to you. And it's really hard, right? Because you don't know where to turn. But I think you all just need to do your best, jump in, right? And look at how this is going, right? I can't tell you what to do because it's really your own decision. And a lot of times leadership is being courageous. Taking that nervous step. If you're all feeling like a little flutter in your stomach or sweating, that's because you're on this edge. So, you know, you've got a proposal in front of you. You've all gone back and forth on this. I think there are concerns on all sides. But I want you to think about, you know, where is your leadership going to start? And how do you want to represent your students? If you feel like this is going to burn a bridge, then I understand. But what bridge are you burning? And my other thing too is I want you to all be very aware, and I'm going to keep saying this over and over. You all can't be involved in labor negotiations. Should you have been part of maybe a larger conversation before this MOU was approved? We don't know where that was. We don't know what they thought for students. So part of what you're saying up there, I think is valid because it does talk about the timing. But I do want you to be really aware again and again, you can't be involved in an MOU because it's a labor negotiation. Right? So this is leadership. You're walking that really fine line. Remembering that you are a member of a community, but remembering that you represent students. Feeling nervous? Congratulations, welcome to leadership, okay?
I
Thank you.
asked if there was any feedback from any administrators regarding the resolution.
What I heard was that it's the statement of facts is very straightforward, so everything's in line there, and it's a associated student's decision what to do. So we're supportive of your ability to make a statement.
I also want to mention that, not only has it been brought to our executives, but it has been brought to our president of Board of Trustees as well. So the only person that we don't have communication with is the FA. So that's important to note. Yes, Kyle.
So two things, has anyone reached out to FA folks? Meet with them, Marcus, you did?
I met with multiple.
You met with multiple members of the faculty association?
The highest ranking one was Director Dr. Parker, Allison Parker.
So members of the union?
Mhm.
Okay, and you got feedback and shared that feedback?
Yeah, I think we discussed it during one meeting. I cannot remember which one.
One of the things I want to say is, I agree with Emmanuel that you are always the voice of the voiceless, right? You are always, you're never going to get 50% of however many thousands of students are here so that you have this huge showing of, look, it's 50% or something, it's significant. I mean, you never want to discount 12 students' stories as not being relevant, whether it's this or anything else, because that's their lived experience, and you probably can be safe in multiplying those stories, depending on how widespread and diverse those you outreach to. I agree with Carrie. I think there are moments to be courageous. Does it have to look like this? No. Does it have to sound like this? No. And you can change the language so it's more future focused and say, this is what our students, we and other students have experienced through this decision-making process. And this is what we'd like in the future, right? So because you are at a certain point, and the impact is still being experienced, we know that. Have you also gathered data related to how many students dropped between that period and now?
I went to see Crystal one time, but she wasn't in the office. She was in a meeting.
So if you have qualitative data, which is the 12 stories you have, And then you want to back it up with some quantitative data too, right? So you want to say, you want to look to see, is there a pattern? Are there people who had online, and I believe this data exists. So you want to look to see, is there a pattern that you can identify that says how this decision impacted students? Students that had in-person classes that have dropped since their classes going online. How many students in general? What is a usual drop rate during this period of time? Is this a usual drop rate? So you also need to do your own research in that way. Okay, so the qualitative statements are important. Those are lived experience of actual PCC students. And if they're not you, I'm sure some of you can add your own stories to that too. Seek out the data. And one of the things I recognized was this hits and everyone wants to react. You all ran around campus, trying to meet with people. Some of you were disappointed because people have full schedules already. And then you didn't go back. So you have to do your work too. And I would say if this is for future, then change the language so it's future focused. Say we experienced this. This is our resolution. This is what happens when student voices are not included. And it may not have changed that decision because faculty do have certain rights. Okay, but also get your quantitative data in addition to your qualitative data to back that up. And it is available. So I would say seek that data to reinforce whatever you put out. But also compare it to last year at this time. Compare it to 2019. Fall 2019 is probably your best comparison date. Because that's the most similar data that you would have if folks expected to come back on campus in person. Okay, so I don't have a yay or nay on this. That's not my role. But I'm always telling you, do your homework first. Don't put stuff out there for one, you don't want to present it, and somebody asks you what you've done and what you haven't done.
So definitely understand the context of the time and it's reaching 1 o'clock. But I just want to say, number one, that we're not statisticians, we're student leaders. And if you want to talk about statistics, I'm already conducting an independent research study with a team of 4 under a psychology professor advisor. And we have already done a literature review, and we found that even across other colleges, abrupt transitions to online learning is not beneficial. A lot of people, especially in the mathematics and STEM fields, suffer, and that's just the statistics. And as leaders, often statistics is never enough to really address pertinent issues that are right at the forefront of us. And I've had 4 years of public relations experience. I've done journalism for 3 years. And the important thing is that when you're representing a voice, it always has to be timely. Because in a news cycle, for example, if things pass by a week, a lot of atrocities get ignored. You've seen it with a lot of trends, a lot of social movements. So when we're talking about this resolution and the issue that we don't have enough support, as leaders, we have to have the intuition, because when it comes to big decisions, we have to do it in a timely manner or else it's not going to have an effect. And that's why I understand the concerns that maybe we only have 12, but there is statistics from other things. And I like what Cobb said about the research, because I have done the prior research and we all have the intuition. It's just that I understand the concerns, but I just want to say that we're student leaders. And so if you want to be statistical about it, there are studies out there, but in the end, just have that intuition and see what students want and voice that. I just want to say that.
Yes, Marcus.
I do understand your viewpoint, Billy, but you have statistics from other places. They're not specific to PCC. You have to realize how unique PCC is compared to other colleges. So I don't think it's fair to say all these other statistics from this one place is going to provide enough backup or evidence for what we're trying to put out. That is especially prevalent to PCC students. I understand having a timely manner, but then again, like, when I did talk with FA, they were always, the first thing they always said was, so how many students have really been affected at PCC? They were always asking specific data about PCC. So we need to give them the information about PCC students, not students from Mount Sac, from Citrus College, or from community colleges around the country. And I would prefer it if this resolution was more focused about what can we do in the future to better help PCC students.
I would like to add to that, you know, we're in open enrollment, so we also have to think about the students that aren't enrolled due to the reason that classes were switched. So we're a connection throughout Southern California, or throughout the California community colleges. Keep that in mind too. Think up.
So one thing for you to know is negotiations are happening now for spring semester. So I mean, my suggestion is not that you do nothing and just hope for the best. But I think what you do is up to you. But I definitely think you circle back with FA. I think, so FA represents faculty. FA does not represent students. You all represent students. They represent working conditions for faculty, not students. And you have to be clear about that. They are not going to say, oh yeah, I'm sorry that happened. Let me not get the best working conditions I can, or our perceived best working conditions for our constituents who pay into this unit. So you all are the group that represents students. You were elected or appointed to represent students. Gary and I have told you time and time again, it doesn't even matter what we say if it comes down to it. If you feel like something is not in the best interest of students, then it's on you to step out there. Of course, we always want you to listen to us, but we are your advisors. We are not elected student leaders.
And I'll just add too, student workers were not included in the pay, the extra pay for working in person, right? Everyone that is working in person is getting $50 extra a day. And so none of those unions, none of those labor negotiations were student workers involved or included in those agreements. And so if you're thinking about who's really representing students, it's not them, it's us.
Yes.
Yeah, I really appreciate what David said as well, because I'm a student worker and I have to go in person to the office, and I'm also not getting that additional pay, but I'm still under the payroll system. But I just want to address though, first of all, like I know Marcus, I really appreciate what you said, because we should do that for the spring semester. But I just want to remind us and kind of bring us back that this is the item on the table, and I definitely think that we could do both things. We can't just limit ourselves to just one. And I just want to admit as well, like I said, we're not statisticians, but the research study is, the survey sample is PCC students, but just it takes time to publish that. And I will send you those results, but like I said, when it comes to these, it's really pertinent, and I just want to say that we do have the data and we're collecting that, but it takes time versus a memorandum and a resolution to announce it.
Okay. Yes, Carrie?
I'd like to hear from other folks. You all, there's a lot of you that have been silent. 90% of you have been silent. So, and also I was going to say at a certain point, I would like to see whether you move on this one after you've heard from other folks who haven't spoken.
I think you had an answer.
What I was gonna say is I know in the resolution it talks about having more classes, and I kind of agree with Marcus. I feel like you should kind of focus on the future, because I don't think that we can add any classes anymore. Like, I feel like it's just gonna mess with a bunch of students' schedules, and it's just gonna be too complicated, and I think we should focus on maybe the spring semester at this point.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, after.
You could go ahead.
Dr. Ramirez has asked us for feedback regarding late start session courses. So my understanding is that's still a possibility. And in terms of messing up student schedules, they're already messed up. And so adding on late start sessions courses the purpose is to help their schedules, right? To help them meet the transfer goals, because already there are many students that are their transfer possibilities that's jeopardized already. And one way or another, we're already talking about spring. So that's not really worrying.
Oh, I just wanted us to vote, really. Yeah.
So with that, I would like to entertain a motion to adopt the titled resolution.
So moved.
So
Can you call out names,
first
please?
by David, second by Billy. So any last minute discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to take a roll call vote. And I will begin with Natalie.
Aye.
Thank you. Jay,
Aye.
thank you. Brianna,
Abstain.
Marcus,
No.
Jillian,
Aye.
Billy,
Aye.
Jonathan,
Abstain?
Christian.
Aye.
David.
Aye.
So, 1, 2, 3. So it has been passed with a total of 2 abstains, 1 nay. And 6 nay. Aye, sorry. Thank you. Moving on to action item B, appointment of VP of Academic Affairs. It is recommended that executive board members approve the appointment of VP of Academic Affairs. And just want to introduce you all to Eugene Sung. She's someone who has been involved with AS. Last year, she was part of the Sustainability Committee. I know that the year prior, she was involved as well with AS. Apologize, I forget the committee.
Tax activities and publicity.
Okay, great, thank you. I'm not sure if you'd like to introduce yourself, maybe something you'd like to share prior to motioning.
Yeah, okay, hi guys, my name is Eugene. I'm currently a third year at Pasadena City College. I think prior to quarantine, I was a biology major, but then I had a lot of like academic challenges due to quarantine, and I found like the major business to be very appealing, so I switched to business. And I think the discussion we're having right now is very relevant to what I've experienced, and I'm really excited to work with you guys.
So with that, is there any questions? I'd like to entertain a motion.
I will be approval of Vice President of Academic Affairs.
I have a question. I
Yes,
know we approved a timeline, but that timeline was not followed. So this is relevant to the appointment. It is not off tangent. So why was this timeline not followed? It said committees would be created. None of us were involved in any of these committees. And that was a problem which I have, because you're probably a great person. This is not an attack on who you are as a person, but I do not feel comfortable appointing someone I have had at least the opportunity to interview and ask questions, because even when we were sent the report, we did not get the questions that were asked during this interview, just a summary of what you got from her.
thank you. Yes,
In addition to Marcus's comment, I received your breakdown of your interviews at 4:40 a.m. this morning. And I understand you had technical difficulties, and that's completely understandable. But on top of agreeing with what Marcus says, I don't know what questions you asked either of these candidates. And I think that we should have had input in that. And on top of that, I don't think, I was the one that asked that you send this report. And I don't think that if I asked, you would have offered this to us. And I'm very uncomfortable voting on this right now.
yes.
Constitutionally, it is the president's purview to appoint vacancies to our board. But also there is a motion on the table, and if you have any questions to your appointee, then you may make them before you make a vote.
I didn't hear a second.
Was there a second? to
There was
this?
no
There's no
second.
second.
Yeah, and I also think like, forget me if I'm wrong, but in the Constitution, I think it says that there like needs to be a recommendation committee. I think this is like within the bylaws. It's on page 64. I can just show you this.
I would recommend, coming back to these action items and going to discussion and just to be respectful of our guests' time. So I'm going to move that we go on to discussion item about invited guests at this moment, so that we can go on to the appointments afterwards.
Second.
Yeah, I'll take a roll call vote for that. Natalie?
Aye.
Jay?
Aye.
Brianna?
Aye.
Marcus?
Aye.
Jillian?
Aye.
Billy?
Aye.
Jonathan?
Aye.
Christian?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Okay, so moving on to discussion about invited guests. And today, I believe we have Candace Jones.
Guys, first let me lead with saying this is one of the most well-run meetings, like you put me to shame. I was a chair of one of the subcommittees of College Council, both District Technology and the Facilities Committee, and in no way, shape, or form do I run my meeting as efficient and according to the Brown Act rules, as you all do. So hats off and kudos to you all on that. I'm actually in awe of also hearing all the committee reports. I'm like, you guys are really doing a lot of important work for the college. So I just want to lead with saying thank you for that, because I know there's a lot of stuff going on and you all advocating for our students. I actually, agreed, asked Marcus and Jillian, I met and said, I'd love to come, you know, as often as I can. And so I committed to coming at least once per quarter. So I'd love to come back in January. I brought a friend with me because we have two things. One, I just wanted to come and see if you needed to shoot me anything that you'd love some input on, or anything that you would like me to kind of take a look at. Jillian gave me some really great options around Lancer's Pantry. She gave me some feedback around our counseling in-person appointments that I'm funneling through. So we were able to meet Marcus and Jillian. We met online and then we met again. Jillian, we missed Marcus just because he had a double conflict. But I did take some action items, and so I will report those back to Jillian as I get information from some of those offices. So one, I'm just here if you need me for something, yay, let me know. The second point is I have Nairi Zograbian, who is a fabulous, like, so I'm often like, I don't know what to do with myself if I didn't have Nairi. Nairi is the college's security administrator. And what that just means is he helps keep me out of hot water, he keeps the college out of hot water, and his primary role is really to protect the college's digital assets. So think about all of this data that you all are sharing with us, not only on your applications when you apply to the college, but think about, I hate to even say it, but like your COVID submissions, all of that stuff, right, has to be done in a secure manner. And so he helps really guide our practices and our policies around. And we have a new idea that he'd love to share with you, get some feedback from you all on, so that we can kind of take that back, think about it, and then come back and present some formal ideas about. So I'm gonna turn it over to him.
Thanks so much, Candace, for that introduction. I can say the same about Candace. She's a fabulous leader. I'm always learning things from her. And I'm glad that you guys are open to invite us to present on some of the technology initiatives that we like to. What we're seeing on the cyber front is a lot of higher ed's being targeted and a lot of accounts being compromised. Student accounts, a lot of staff and faculty accounts. So what we've done on the staff and faculty side is create more security controls in the form of an extra layer of authentication. For example, when you do online banking, you have your username, password, and you get an extra step, like a text message to your phone or a notification to an app on your phone, or a one-time passcode to your email, just as an extra layer of protection, just in case somebody was able to get the credentials. We're doing that on a lot of our systems, for example, email, or anything that's has a cloud impact, such as storage, such as G Suite that our students have access to. Our G Suite, it doesn't just host our email, it hosts docs, documents, forms, we use forms to collect a lot of student data. It hosts your OneDrive where you may be storing all kinds of information, perhaps photos, your classwork, your exams. There's a lot of confidential, a lot of personal information there. And we'd like to propose factor authentication to help protect your private data within our systems, as well as other applications, other services that we offer, such as LancerPoint or Canvas, where people can potentially get access to your password. So this is an initiative that we're seeing a lot of TSUs implement. The community colleges are starting to adopt, for example, Sierra College up north, Coast Community College District has adopted it for students. So it's something that will help both protect your private data, as well as we're seeing something else, especially so during the pandemic. There are a lot of fake student accounts. I know Manuel mentioned that some students are on wait lists for STEM classes that they're unable to take. And some of that is due to fake accounts. A lot of bad actors are creating fake student accounts just to be able to collect financial aid payments, for have access to cloud applications, again, Drive, Google Drive, or anything else that we host within the application. So two-factor would really be helping on multiple fronts. First, to safeguard your data, and also help the students get the classes that they need. This is a new technology that we like to start in 2022. Really want you guys to help partner support and to represent the kind of the communications and student voice. I just wanted to present that and see what you guys think. It's worthwhile. It's something that you want us to pursue.
So before we open up, I'm going to jump in and say two things, because as technology professionals, we want to make sure everybody's on board with what two-factor means. So it just simply, like, right, when you log into something, it's going to contact you in some meaningful way. So anytime you get contacted, whether it buzzes your phone and says somebody's trying to get in, trying to access your account, it's going to ping you and you'll know it. It can call you, same thing. What was the other one? It can call,
One-time password to your personal.
personal email. So like, again, so we get a lot of questions at times where students say, I think somebody was in my account. And we're like, I don't know, did you send your pass? You know, sometimes there are circumstances, although you should never do this. There are circumstances that sometimes people share their credential information. And then something goes wrong and that person has it, and then they're like, I don't know, my ex logged in, I think they deleted all of my stuff. I mean, we get it all the time. And so this mechanism, really, anytime your account is accessed, you will be notified. So that's the goal and the benefit. What we're really advocating or asking your partnership in is just, we'd love your help in not only crafting how we would roll something out like that, how we would go about communicating that, and what would be the best way to make sure we haven't forgotten something. You know, maybe not all students have a phone. So what would we do in that circumstance, right? And so helping us work through what that looks like, so we don't make a decision and then say, oh, guess what? We really made this decision because we love you and we want you to be secure and blah, 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 blah. Well, no, like we're trying to work with you so we make that decision together, protect the institution, and then come up with a really good way to communicate that out to everyone. So if that, one, do you have questions about it? And two, if that seems of interest to you all, we would love to continue this conversation.
Yeah, so I think definitely two factors would be a good idea. And I think I sat in on the district audit committee last year as well. So is this something that would be discussed this year as well?
Yes.
Because I think I was appointed to that in the summer, so hopefully I can be the representative for that.
Yes.
Definitely, I'll double check if I have any emails been sent out yet or.
Okay. I don't think that they've scheduled, or the first DTC meeting, it should be scheduled like soon, so I can check with Lizette, just to double check.
Definitely.
Okay. Yes.
I mean, I agree with Billy. I think it's a great idea. And I think if we did an in-house awareness campaign, it would be really beneficial for us. Will it be available by the time students register for spring classes?
So
That's, okay, remember, that's like in November. That's like in less than a month. You guys are gonna start registering for, so I don't know that we ITS have done our jobs in terms of really setting up that communication campaign, so that students would have enough time to make that decision. I think what we're advocating for is maybe an early 2022 rollout with some partnership with having you all view some communications, helping us edit, like people don't know what that is. Candace, what are you talking about, right? Like helping us really sort of dial in the message and then roll that out in early January, February of 2022.
I also really like this idea. I think it's like really essential because hackers are getting really smart nowadays. So I really like
So smart.
Yeah, they really are.
They are so like, even I'm like, at times, I'm like, let me think again. I always err on the side that it's bad, but they are very, very savvy. Okay, so it sounds like we have general yay. We will continue to work on this. I have one last question for you all. We were thinking about making it initially an opt-in program. Like, instead of coming and hitting people on the chin, he would, okay, so we have not a difference of opinion, but he's the like, let's do it. And I'm like, well, let's see. So we need some feedback, whether it becomes like a requirement, like you can't do this without this, or if we start with an opt-in program and then move towards a requirement. What do y'all think?
I think it would be good to start by easing them in with an opt-in thing. Would it be similar to, like, if you sign into like any Google account that you have, how you can just skip it if you don't want to do it?
So it would be when you're creating your account, your student account, or at a certain date, then you could log in, or give you the option to enable. And if
Oh,
you
okay,
don't.
so you can enable and fix.
Or skip.
Okay, okay, thank you.
I think you should do like an opt-out thing because a lot of people are really lazy, especially with their passwords nowadays. That's why they end up getting hacked anyways, so. like,
Okay,
I'd say just do like an opt-out sort of thing.
okay.
Yeah, that's actually really smart. Because then, like, that's like research too. If you
Like
get
put
locked out,
everybody in, and
everybody's like
then
lazy.
if they wanna exit stage
Yeah.
left,
Yeah.
then they have some ability to do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and is this also to address the student bots as well? Because I think that's like the biggest thing to
It would do
consider.
both, yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's
think
why-
about like the fraudulent actors. You know, they can script all of that, sort of like, ooh, I kind of know your systems well. This one would be like, you have to then give a second factor. Like, that's not easy to script because we'd be able to identify if everybody's using the same second factor. Like, if the same personal email address account or is in some range or the same phone number is being used, we'd be able to catch that
Yeah.
easier. So it'll help ease that. Now, will it prevent all fraudulent activity? The answer is no. I mean, there are bad actors who can go in and individually do something, but it'll cut it down significantly. We feel really confident about that.
Yeah, I think Jonathan's idea is good, but I'll definitely want to circle back with you, so.
Okay,
I'll
so
look out for the
we'll
email.
run it through district technology as well, and then you can give us your feedback then. So is it okay then if we then just work through Philly as it relates to DTC and then have him? Okay, awesome, then we'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody does come.
So, we will proceed back to the action items. Continue the discussion on appointment of VP of Academic Affairs. So,
Jonathan, what is the exact wording say?
So it's kind of a lot. Like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I could quickly screenshot it and send it to everyone. But I think regardless, we should still move on to a vote. Just because of how dire the situation is. And as of right now, there isn't a chief justice to hold us accountable to the Constitution. We'll vote on it still.
yes, so,
Yeah, so I think regardless if you have a chief justice holding you accountable, you know, you hold yourselves accountable because you signed a paper that said you would follow your constitution and all your governing documents. So having a chief justice is not relevant to you while making a decision or reading your own and knowing your own documents. That being said, I know there was a timeline set. What we're looking at is, as Jonathan said, it's a lot and it's all over the place. Appointments to vacancies is outlined in your policy and procedure 100. And I know this is not going to be popular, but so two questions I would ask. Are you really objecting? And I'm going to push you. Are you really objecting because you really want to follow your hard bent on following your policy and procedures, or you're really objecting because you don't like something else and something else is underlying this? And if you don't want to say it out loud, that's fine, but I think you need to answer yourself. And I think Jonathan said this is dire. One of the other things I would say is whatever you're objecting to, is it more important than you filling a role that represents students at this moment? And you're gonna have to make that decision as a board. I do think it's imperative that you read your own documents. Because in your if you're not going to follow your documents and what you approve in your policy and procedure in particular, then you have to suspend those. If you say these are outdated, they don't work for us anymore, we don't want to follow all this, that's fine. But then you have to go to those documents and you have to suspend them or write something different. Because as of right now, you do have policy and procedure that dictates, even if it's not in the bylaws and Constitution, there are statements in the bylaws. Is that what we're-
So we're looking at the Constitution, and where I was confused when I read this is I'm at the Constitution, which is page 12. It's clause 5, item, section 2.
Article 5, Section 3, Clause 5.
So what,
All that.
because it says, I read this as at the point, so what I read was, the president shall make appointments which shall be subject to 2/3 affirmation vote. My fault for not reading it more carefully, because that is if the position has not been filled within 30 calendar days. You're still within 30 calendar days, so that's, and I also knew the procedure 100 said, I thought it said he could make an appointment. So that is my bad for not reading your documents closer. But I guess the larger question about, I guess, going back to Dean Patterson, is leadership here. Because I know there are other issues that are underlying this discussion. So I would invite everyone to think about what this is. And you can postpone for a week, come back and say, let's postpone your bylaw. Policy 100, policy, and then approve. If you feel that's the way you want to go. But again, that's just the fix. I know there's another issue. So think about the 2 folks who volunteered to join us and volunteered to represent students. What is going to be best for the folks that you're supposed to be representing? And act on that.
And you want to think about, your policy and procedure are very flexible. I mean, that's what you created for yourselves to operate. So that's the easiest thing to override, but also you want to look at the spirit and intent of this appointment and these appointments. Is whatever your issue is overriding the spirit and intent of appointment. Do you really think that Emmanuel appointed somebody that is not qualified? And if so, then you vote that way. But if really your issue is, we didn't follow the process and folks got left out and didn't have a voice the way it was intended, that's a valid concern. But is that overriding not having representation? And is that really going against the spirit and intent of your governing document?
The only thing I can see also happening is that we push it, as the policy states, additional 3 weeks, opening it up for applications. But once again, this is important.
Dean Cobb did say you can, next meeting, agendize to suspend the policy 100. And then once that's been suspended, then you move forward with your appointments, if that's the will of the group. Or if there's other options.
Yes.
Can we just like vote on it still? Like I'm perfectly okay with still voting on it and going ahead. I think if we're all in agreement on that, then it's really fine. Because just, if we were to go back to the policy, then, it's unnecessary delay. So I would like to motion to appoint, is there a name written down? I'd like to say the name.
Just appointment of VP of
Okay, so I'd
academic
like to
affairs.
approve the appointment of the VP of Academic Affairs.
Second.
Can we have a name, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why,
It's respectful to her.
yeah, that's why I wanted to,
What's her name?
Eugene Song.
Eugene Song, okay. So I motion to approve the appointment of Eugene Song as VP of Academic Affairs.
Second.
Second.
Can you wait?
Failure.
I missed the-
Please wait until the motion is complete, because you don't know what the motion is. If you just approve.
Sorry, that was a combination. Department slip, sorry. I apologize.
Okay, so motion by Jonathan and second by Billy. And let's move on to a roll call vote.
Can you let Chris vote first, because he's got them.
Oh, sorry. Christian, Montoya?
Yeah, I.
Thank you. Natalie Guzman,
Abstain.
Jay?
Aye.
Yana?
Aye.
Marcus?
Abstain.
Jillian?
Aye.
Aye.
Jonathan?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Okay, so there's 2 abstentions and 8 ayes. Sorry, 7 ayes. So we have appointment, academic affairs, graduation, agenda. Thank you.
But
Wow. That was so
It's not that bad.
It's so bleak.
Okay, thank you all. So moving on, same scenario with the appointment of Chief Justice. So it is recommended that the executive board members approve the appointment of Chief Justice. That I will open it up. Anyone would like the motion? Okay, so
Second.
first,
Me first.
Wait, I don't second.
No one made the motion.
Sorry, sorry, I don't know how to make slips.
Here,
Natalie Hernandez.
Yeah, I moved to approve the appointment of Natalia Hernandez for.
Sorry, I apologize. Nat.
This is gonna haunt us for the rest of our lives.
Don't worry, we get
She
confused.
refers
with
to by
Marcus.
Nat, so moving
Yeah,
forward.
Nat.
second,
What's her name?
So
Natalia.
I apologize.
Say
So
her real name.
motion. Really, okay, sorry, multiple second.
I think it's the second time.
Okay, so, any last minute discussion?
I would just like to ask you, what is your highest priority? To change anything on the constitution or implement anything as chief justice?
Yes, I do want to make some changes in the constitution, especially last year, we were working on some things and we still had more ideas. So I'm gonna work on those for this upcoming year. And I'm also going to work along with you guys. If you guys have any suggestions on making with the constitution, I will take that in consideration. I know for students, it's very complicated to be aware of what the constitution says. I think this is more about, this involves more of the executive board and the committees. So I also want to educate students about it, because I think there should be more transparency. And I want to I want also to check how the executive board and the committees are doing and if they're following through the constitution. I have experience from last year. I know some of the issues that the Supreme Council encountered, and I want to avoid those and also maybe improve the relationship between the Supreme Council and the executive board. So yeah, I do have that list. That's it.
So, thank you. So with that, I will take a roll call vote. And I begin with Natalie.
Aye.
Jay?
Aye.
Brianna?
Aye.
Thank you. Marcus?
Aye.
Thank you. Jillian?
Aye.
Thank you. Billy?
Aye.
Thank you. Jonathan?
Aye.
Thank you. Christian left us early. So I will make note of that. And Dave.
Aye.
So congratulations, Natalia.
Oh my God, we have a whole board.
Yeah.
You could have voted if you wanted.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah.
You're official now.
If you want to record her vote, you can record her vote.
Nay.
Thank you. Thank you all. I'll be moving on now to appointment to college-wide committees. Have a few. Okay, I know Christian left us, but some of you, I just want to remind you all, please email me at the ASPCC president, just so that I don't have to be going back and forth. I don't have some of the appointments in my president email, so please bear with me. So for Sustainability Committee, I would like to appoint Amelia Uranga, Miles Singh, Lynn Tran, I apologize, I've made a mistake. That is an AS committee. College-wide committees, I would like to appoint Jasmine Lopez to the hiring committee of social science dean. And moving on to appointment of AS committees. For the sustainability committee, I would like to appoint Amelia Oranga, Mal Singh, Tran, Stephanie Gomez, Michelle Magami, Jesse Yu, Raneem Abu Bajar, Laurel Spear. Okay, and then for campus activities. Okay, and for campus activities, I would like to appoint Ardina Lopez, Dana Masliasa, Tan Newby, Juan Veros, Raisha Fulwani, Daniel Guerrero, and Brianna Copian. Well, and for student equity, sorry, locked me out. So for the student equity committee, I would like to appoint Jasmine Ang, Tiffany Abba, Speed Chang, Irene Wong. Okay, thank you. I believe that is it. Is there any? Please.
I sent the email for a list of.
Would it be easier if we just wrote them all?
Send it afterwards,
Yeah.
just so you don't go like.
Yeah, if you can, please. Go ahead, please.
All right, so I will be appointing Sylvie DeMarby to SEC, and then I'm gonna start listing the rest of the names and I'll be. Kristen Fang, Alan Garcia Cruz, Katarina Gonzalez, Reagan Lee, Justin Lai, Ava Ortega, Andrea Michelle Ramirez, and Lena Tran. Yes.
For the Student Services Committee, I would like to present to you Tony Wojcicki, Ashley Ray, Gabriella Bush, Anela from you, Simone Chan, Tan Yun, David Quinn, and Marcus Gomez.
Thank you. Brianna?
I would like to appoint to the Finance Committee Hope Lee, Katie Wu, Ryan Lee Hughes, Jasmine Ang, Rachel Chung, Nathan Wong, and Stephanie Gomez.
I'll be appointing the following people to the student lobby committee. Raheem Abu Hajar, Simone Chan, Agatha Gregorian, Natalia Hernandez, Jay Han Huang, Annalise Lay, Tony Ordukanyang, Andre Patowski, Jasmine Torres, and Lynn Tran.
Thank you. Okay. So moving on to bill acceptance. Have anything? Okay, thank you. Approval of ICC funding.
Wait, I'm kind of confused on how to do this. Because shouldn't it be an action item?
Well, I was just told to make
Yeah.
this as to our template that it was missing these sections.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for adding this.
So yes, Carrie.
Do you want background on why it's there, not under?
Yeah.
So this is an action item. Normally, the reason why it was there is because last year we had as needed on-demand funding. So a student club could come to us on Wednesday for approval on Friday, which would mean that we would miss the approval for the agenda. So they put this on as a standing item, and it probably needs to say possible action to take place and moved up a little bit in the order of things.
It's approval. That's an action.
Does it say?
It's
approval?
action.
Oh, approval. Oh, there we go.
Just needs it in the future, it just needs description.
Yeah, so it's there as a standing item, so that way you have the flexibility. If you approve something on Friday, that the following Wednesday, because you missed the deadline to put the agenda. So yes, you can move if you want. Do you have the whole
Spreadsheet?
spreadsheet?
I do.
You send it to everyone, I will post it and they can all look at it.
Okay, I've sent the spreadsheet to you all ahead of time. I hope you've had time to look over it. If not, I'll do a quick breakdown. We had 20 clubs request funding, for clubs that were asking for, a lot of money, mostly to go to a conference, which was usually over about 3,000. We took a 75% cut. And that was on 2 clubs, I think. We went through all the criteria. We didn't add anything else. We didn't take any other percentage cuts. And I think this is a record total. We will be renting these 20 clubs $19,573. Is there any question or discussion? Out of
That is
30,
not.
out of 35, they're never gonna see this money again.
Okay.
Like spring, it's gonna, because this is only 20 clubs out of 50. Yeah. Any other questions or discussion? So can I move? Okay, I move to approve the fall 2021 hub funding.
Second.
First by Natalie.
Marcus, second before me.
Sorry.
Second by Marcus. Okay, so. Want to wait. Okay. So Natalie?
Aye.
Thank you. Jay?
Aye.
Thank you. Brianna?
Aye.
Thank you. Marcus?
Aye.
Thank you. Jen?
Aye.
Thank you. Billy?
Aye.
Thank you. Jonathan?
Aye.
Thank you. Christian, abstained, absent, or left the meeting early, and David.
Oh, should we also appoint?
Aye.
Okay, so, and then Vice President of Academic Affairs, Jin Sung.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So, then,
That's all you do. Okay.
okay, and Chief Justice Natalia Hernandez.
Aye.
Thank you. Apologize. Okay, moving on to public comment on agenda items.
Any member of the public?
Do I have a public comment? No, but I'm all glad you're here. This is kind of where it started, so. Yeah, It's here. Thank you for visiting. Yes.
Thank you. Advisor comments?
Yes, so welcome to our new members, yay. Having a great time. I think you've seen that our conversation has been robust. I think this is one of the, y'all are out of the honeymoon stage. This is where we come to the real deal.
Trouble in paradise.
Exactly. We've always been paradise, but focus, because we all gotta get out of here. Two things I recommend. One is that you, Emmanuel, appoint a buddy to the two new folks to introduce them to the office, teach them how things run, get them set up, so that and that person can always be their point of contact when they scratch their head and said, what is this thing that Carrie is asking me to do, right? So please assign them a buddy. My other recommendation is that, and I'd ask the chair to put it on the agenda for next week as an action item, that we pick a Friday afternoon and we commit to 3 or 4 hours. We can do dinner again, but we all need to fine tune. And also, I think your new group deserves the opportunity to be introduced to what the policies and procedures are. It wouldn't hurt all of you to review them. And just to go over again how you're going to operate as a team, because we've seen this team needs a little bit of conversation. So I'm going to ask that you dedicate 4 hours and I will take you to dinner, right? See, I gotta skip a part. And spend some time, spend some time working on your relationships, and B, you gotta onboard your new folk. So that's the important piece, okay? So I'll ask the chair to please put that on the agenda for next week.
Thank you.
No, I just want to ask the folks who are on the SSF committee if we can do it from here.
Yes.
Yeah. It's gonna be too
We're not gonna
late.
make it back to Pasadena.
Yeah. we'll have time.
It's 2 hours too.
What?
What?
It may not be 2 hours.
Hopefully
We
not.
blocked 2 hours. Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
No problem. Thank you. Any announcements?
One, I volunteered to be anyone's buddy who wished to appoint me. Also, I received an email from the Vice President of Legislative Affairs of FSCCC. She's notifying us of the town hall on college student hunger. Basically, we'll cover like CalFresh. It's a virtual event on Wednesday, October 6th from 12 to 1. I know that interferes with our thing, but if you guys, I'm gonna send this to all your emails. Please share it with your committees in case they can come. This is specifically for Region 7, so it'd be great to have some students there. Featured speakers will include Congressman Jimmy Gomez, Teacher Forum Chair Darren Soto, Teacher Forum Vice Chair Sarah Jacobs, and Congressman Nanette Barragan. I'm sorry. And yeah, like I said, I'll email this to you. Thank you all.
Ms. Brown?
I also volunteered with someone's buddy.
Thank you, Brianna. Any more announcements?
Come to my committee meeting on Friday, 1:15. I made sure to give some time after ICC so you can come over. So if you're at ICC, just come over to CC 212-115.
Really? I just want to announce that, well, now that we have also new members, we have been invited to the foundation annual dinner for November 5th in the evening, times to be determined. So if you can block that out, just in case you're interested and available. Also, in the mail, I received a conference, I guess, invitation for the American Student Association of Community Colleges, and fortunately, that would interfere with this annual dinner. It is from the 5th to the 7th, and it would be an event in Atlanta, Georgia, but they're also offering,
You're asking
Virtual.
to take people away in less than 6 days?
No, November 5th.
I thought you said October.
No.
No, it's November.
It don't matter. I'll tell you all about this. No.
Hey.
What's that next each other in the plane?
No, you all are going to that.
So with that being said, please reserve November 5th for the annual dinner. I will be providing Bobby Abram from the foundation with your contact information so that they can include y'all into the invite list. Yes.
Do we have to write like a testimony?
I only asked so that they asked me to give a few words, but I think it's important for me to have you all speak for yourselves, or if I can share something. But definitely, I don't see it being a problem if people were to speak. Thanks. Any more announcements? So future meeting dates and times, October the 6th, 2021. The location will be G1 on the main campus, Pasadena City College. Agenda items due by September 30th, 9 p.m. please. With that, I'd like to motion to adjourn at 1:51 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
First by Marcus, second by Billy. Is there any opposition? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you all for your time.
So if those of you who are
Are we sending this one?
on
Let's do it. We're gonna do it one Zoom call, or we're gonna do it separately.
I'm about to have Carrie help me figure out what that's gonna be like.
No, I was just thinking.
You can walk here, no way,
Natalie, are you going to the main campus right now?
What?
Are you going to the main campus?
Yeah.
Can we get a ride?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, thanks for making me very aware.
You can come.
You're my little thing. I guess like.
Yeah, I just go great. I got that.
Should have brought my charger.
I know, I'm like, I'm hoping I have one in the bag because my laptop is. I anticipated being on my desktop. Huh?
Oh, you're still live. You have to turn it off.
Still alive. Oh, no.
Oh, no, I shouldn't.
Don't say anything.
Leaving Saturday, so.
How do you turn it off? How do you turn it off? Come here.
Okay.
Expert.
All right, Manuel. Shut it off, shut it down.
Really?
I can't.
Who is that?
Oh, good.